There is something remarkable about the way human beings think. We judge a moment while we are still living inside it. We call it good before it is finished. We call it bad before we know where it leads. Then years pass, and suddenly the same moment tells a completely different story. What once felt like a loss becomes a protection. What looked like a delay becomes perfect timing. What seemed unfair becomes the reason your life took a better direction. The truth is, our eyes can only see the present. Allah sees the beginning, the end, and everything in between. That is why Allah's decisions are never based on what we can see today, but on what Allah knows forever. This is where many hearts struggle. We trust Allah when life agrees with our plans. But when Allah's decree surprises us, our trust is quietly tested. Not because Allah's wisdom has changed, but because our understanding has reached its limit. The Quran repeatedly reminds us that Allah is Al-Hakim, the most wise. Every decree carries wisdom. Every decision carries purpose. Every chapter of your life is written with perfect knowledge, even when that knowledge remains hidden from you. So perhaps the real question is not, why did this happen? Perhaps the better question is, can I trust Allah even before I understand? Because the strongest faith is not built after every answer arrives. It is built when the answers are still unseen, yet the heart remains certain that Allah's wisdom is always perfect. In this reminder, we will reflect on why everything happens for a reason, why Allah's wisdom often becomes clear only with time, and how true peace begins the moment you stop measuring life by what you understand and start trusting the one whose knowledge has no limits. An event happens, but the mind adds a verdict. We label it unfair, pointless, or completely wrong. Yet the event has only entered our story. Its results have not appeared before us. Its hidden effects are still moving forward. Still, we speak as though everything is settled. This habit exposes the limits of human judgment. We judge through feelings, timing, and visible outcomes. Allah judges through complete and perfect knowledge. Allah knows every result before its first cause. Allah knows what each moment will eventually produce. Nothing within Allah's decree is random or careless. Consider how often first impressions prove completely false. A pleasant beginning can create lasting spiritual harm. An uncomfortable beginning can awaken needed awareness. The beginning never reveals the final value. Only the complete outcome reveals what something carried. Yet people often worship the appearance of a moment. The Quran corrects this way of thinking clearly. You may love something that brings hidden harm. You may dislike something that carries real goodness. Allah knows, while human knowledge remains limited. This truth challenges more than personal disappointment. This truth challenges our confidence in our own judgment. Saying Allah never makes mistakes carries serious meaning. It means Allah never miscalculates any detail. Allah never overlooks consequences, timing, or human weakness. Allah never discovers later that something went wrong. Such limitations belong only to created beings. Allah's wisdom is complete before events even begin. Therefore, faith requires restraint before forming conclusions. Not every confusing event deserves an immediate explanation. Not every painful feeling proves something went wrong. Sometimes the wrong judgment creates deeper suffering. The event may be difficult yet still purposeful. The heart must separate discomfort from divine error. This is where our understanding must begin. Allah's decree is not measured by immediate feelings. Allah's wisdom is not proven through quick results. A moment cannot explain everything connected with it. Some meanings develop quietly across many years. Others may only become clear in the hereafter. So do not ask whether the moment feels perfect. Ask whether Allah's knowledge can ever be imperfect. The answer changes how every event is viewed. Your understanding may fail, but Allah's wisdom cannot. Your judgment may change, but Allah's knowledge never changes. That difference becomes the foundation of real trust. People often misunderstand the phrase, everything happens for a reason. They assume every reason must feel comforting. They expect every outcome to match personal hopes. But divine purpose is not built around comfort. Sometimes purpose corrects what comfort would preserve. Sometimes purpose exposes what ease kept hidden. Allah may allow an event to reveal your choices. The event may uncover pride, fear, or dependence. Before that moment, those weaknesses remained unnoticed. You believed your heart was stronger than reality showed. Then pressure removed every comforting illusion. What appeared disruptive became a truthful mirror. This does not make every human action acceptable. People still choose injustice, cruelty, and betrayal. Allah never commands people to commit evil. Yet nothing escapes Allah's knowledge or authority. Allah can bring wisdom from another person's wrongdoing. The sin remains theirs, while the decree remains purposeful. Consider the brothers of Prophet Yusuf, peace be upon him. Their jealousy led them toward a terrible action. Their behavior was sinful and deeply unjust. Yet their plan never defeated Allah's plan. Allah carried Prophet Yusuf through every later stage. Their wrongdoing became part of a greater outcome. This distinction protects the believer from confusion. Purpose does not mean approving every painful cause. Purpose means evil cannot overpower Allah's wisdom. Human beings may intend harm against someone. Allah can redirect that harm toward another result. The event remains painful, but never independent. Nothing writes a future outside Allah's decree. This also changes how believers view personal preferences. You may prefer an easier path today. Allah may choose a path that develops honesty. You may prefer quick relief from discomfort. Allah may choose clarity before granting relief. Preference asks, what feels better right now? Wisdom asks, what will this eventually produce? The Quran teaches that Allah created life as a test. A test cannot exist without meaningful choices. Those choices reveal what the heart truly values. Comfort alone could never expose every hidden attachment. Ease alone could never train every needed quality. Different moments uncover different truths within us. Therefore, purpose must never be reduced to pleasure. Some reasons protect, while other reasons correct. Some reasons reveal, while other reasons redirect. Some reasons concern your life beyond this world. You may understand the event but miss its purpose. Allah understands both with perfect and complete knowledge. A painful moment can look completely wrong. It can feel misplaced, unfair, and badly timed. But feelings do not reveal the full meaning. Human beings see what happened today. Allah knows what today will produce tomorrow. Allah also knows every result beyond tomorrow. Nothing within Allah's decree is unfinished knowledge. This is why appearances can mislead the heart. Safety may arrive through a frightening path. Growth may begin through an unwanted change. Protection may first feel like loss. Guidance may first feel like interruption. The moment carries one appearance. Allah's wisdom carries the complete purpose. These two things are not always immediately visible together. Think about Prophet Musa, peace be upon him. His mother placed him inside the river. Every visible detail suggested danger. A helpless child was moving beyond her reach. Yet Allah had already arranged protection. The river did not escape Allah's control. The water carried him toward Allah's appointed destination. What looked unsafe became part of his safety. This event teaches something deeper than patience. Allah does not need easy conditions to create good. Allah can place protection inside apparent danger. Allah can place direction inside deep confusion. Allah can place mercy inside an unwanted change. The event never limits Allah's power. Our understanding is limited by the event's appearance. That limitation often creates the wrong conclusion. You may also be judging one unfinished moment. Something ended before you understood its purpose. Something changed before your heart felt ready. Something arrived through a path you disliked. That does not mean Allah made a mistake. It means the full outcome has not appeared. Allah's wisdom remains complete during your confusion. Your vision can be incomplete without Allah's plan being imperfect. So do not name the whole story too early. Do not call something pointless while results are still unfolding. Do not call something wrong because it hurts. Pain can be real without the decree being mistaken. Confusion can remain without Allah's wisdom becoming absent. The believer does not understand every moment. The believer knows Allah never loses control. Many people do not question Allah directly. They question the picture they created inside their minds. They imagined life following one path. They expected certain doors to open. They expected certain prayers to be answered in a specific way. When life moved differently, disappointment slowly became confusion. The problem was never Allah's decree. The problem was the expectation placed above Allah's wisdom. We quietly decide how life should unfold. Then we measure Allah's decree against our own imagination. When they do not match, the heart begins to struggle. Not because Allah made a mistake, but because our expectations became our standard. Look at the lives of the prophets. None of them followed an easy path. Prophet Nuh, peace be upon him, called people for centuries with very few believers. Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, was thrown into the fire. Prophet Yaqub, peace be upon him, lived through years of separation from his beloved son. Their stories never suggest that difficulty means Allah has abandoned someone. Instead, they teach the opposite. Allah's closest servants often walk the hardest roads. Yet every step remained under Allah's perfect wisdom. Every delay had meaning. Every trial had purpose. Every loss carried something the eye could not yet see. Their lives prove that hardship is never evidence of a mistake in Allah's plan. Sometimes we expect Allah's mercy to remove every difficulty. But Allah's mercy may guide us through difficulty instead. Sometimes we expect immediate answers. Allah prepares something through waiting. Sometimes we expect a different destination. Allah changes the road because Allah knows where every road ends. That is why believers constantly return to humility. We do not know enough to write our own destiny. We cannot see every consequence of every choice. We cannot measure tomorrow with today's emotions. Allah can. Allah always has. So whenever expectations begin fighting against reality, remember this simple truth. Expectations come from limited vision. Allah's decree comes from perfect knowledge. One can be completely wrong. The other never can. That is why real peace begins when the heart stops demanding its own plan and starts trusting Allah's wisdom. There are moments you wish had never happened. You remember them with pain even today. If someone offered to erase them, you might agree without hesitation. Yet you do not know what would disappear with them. You cannot see every blessing connected to every hardship. Allah can. Many people look back and finally understand. A rejected opportunity protected their faith. A broken relationship saved their future. A delayed answer prepared their heart. A painful season brought them closer to Allah. At the beginning, none of it made sense. Looking back changed everything. But not every answer comes in this life. Some questions remain unanswered for years. Some never receive an explanation before death. This is where faith becomes truly meaningful. Faith is not waiting until everything becomes clear. Faith is trusting Allah while some things remain hidden. That trust is an act of worship. The day of judgment will uncover what this world concealed. Every hidden wisdom will become visible. Every perfect decision will become undeniable. No believer will stand before Allah and discover a single mistake in Allah's decree. Not one. Instead, every soul will see how complete Allah's knowledge always was. What seemed confusing will finally become clear. Imagine seeing every event from Allah's perfect wisdom. Every delay, every closed door, every tear, every unanswered prayer, every loss, every rescue you never noticed. You would realize that nothing happened without purpose. Nothing escaped Allah's knowledge. Nothing was placed in your life carelessly. That is why believers refuse to judge Allah by temporary feelings. Feelings change with time. Circumstances change with time. Understanding also changes with time. But Allah's wisdom never changes. Allah's knowledge never becomes greater because it was always complete. The only thing that changes is our ability to recognize it. So whenever your heart whispers, "Why did this happen?" remember a greater truth. You may not know the reason today. You may not know it next year. But you already know the one who wrote your story. And Allah's wisdom is perfect. Yesterday, today, and forever. Imagine seeing your entire life at once. Every decision, every delay, every heartbreak, every prayer, every blessing, every moment connected together. You would finally understand why nothing happened by accident. Allah has always seen that complete picture. We have only seen one small part. If Allah showed you every hidden consequence, many complaints would disappear. You would see the danger behind the opportunity you wanted. You would see the blessing behind the door that stayed closed. You would see how one painful moment protected years of your future. What looked like loss would suddenly look like mercy. But Allah does not ask believers to know everything. Allah asks believers to trust Allah's wisdom. That is the meaning of faith. If every answer arrived immediately, trust would no longer require belief. If every reason became visible today, patience would no longer be a test. The unseen is where sincere faith grows. Think about a child receiving medicine. The child only tastes bitterness. The child cannot understand healing. A loving parent sees what the child cannot see. The child trusts because the parent knows better. How much greater is the difference between human knowledge and Allah's perfect knowledge? Allah's wisdom cannot be compared to ours. This world is not the place where every mystery is explained. It is the place where hearts choose whom they will trust. Will we trust our limited understanding, or will we trust the one whose knowledge has no limit? Every trial quietly asks that question. Every decree invites the same answer. So whenever life becomes difficult, remember what you cannot see. There are conversations Allah prevented. There are disasters Allah turned away. There are blessings still traveling toward you. There are outcomes Allah is preparing beyond your imagination. You may never witness all of them in this world, but Allah knows every hidden detail. That is why the believer finds peace without possessing every answer. Peace does not come from seeing the whole picture. Peace comes from knowing that Allah already does. And when Allah holds the complete picture, nothing in your life is ever without purpose. Many people think tawakkul means waiting for life to become easier. They believe trust comes after everything makes sense. But that is not how the Quran teaches tawakkul. Real trust begins before every answer arrives. It begins while the future is still hidden. It begins when the heart chooses Allah over its own fears. Anyone can trust after the outcome becomes clear. That requires no struggle. The real test comes before the result. Can you continue praying without seeing immediate change? Can you obey Allah while your questions remain unanswered? Can you believe in Allah's wisdom when your emotions tell a different story? That is where tawakkul becomes real. This is why the believer keeps moving forward. Not because every fear has disappeared, not because every doubt has been explained, but because Allah never changes. Circumstances rise and fall. Emotions come and go, people enter and leave. Allah's wisdom remains perfect through every season of life. Look at Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him. Allah commanded him to leave his family in a barren valley. There were no visible signs of comfort, no fields, no rivers, no thriving community. From a human perspective, nothing about that place seemed promising. Yet Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, trusted Allah's command. Today, millions of believers travel to that very place every year. What once appeared empty became one of the most honored places on earth. That story reminds us that Allah often builds tomorrow where we only see emptiness today. We judge the ground by its appearance. Allah knows what will grow from it. We judge the beginning. Allah has already written the ending. So never confuse uncertainty with abandonment. A hidden future does not mean Allah has left you alone. It simply means Allah has not finished unfolding the story. Keep doing what pleases Allah. Keep making sincere dua. Keep placing your affairs in Allah's hands. Tawakkul is not the absence of questions. Tawakkul is the decision to trust Allah even when those questions remain unanswered. The greatest burden in life is not always pain. Sometimes it is the constant struggle to control what belongs to Allah alone. We want every answer now. We want every door to open when we choose. We want life to follow the plan we have written. When it does not, the heart becomes restless. Not because Allah's wisdom has failed, but because we refuse to release our own expectations. Surrender is not giving up. Surrender is giving your trust to the one who deserves it. It is saying, Allah knows what I cannot know. It is believing that Allah's choice is better than your own, even when your heart still aches. That is not weakness. That is one of the strongest acts of faith a believer can make. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, experienced moments that seemed painfully difficult. The death of loved ones, rejection from people, hardship in Mecca, battles, hunger. Yet Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, never doubted Allah's wisdom. Every trial was met with patience, worship, and complete reliance upon Allah. That is why peace remained in the heart, even when life was not easy. Real peace does not come when every problem disappears. If that were true, no one would ever find peace in this world. Real peace comes when the heart stops fighting against Allah's decree. The situation may remain difficult, the waiting may continue, the tears may still fall, but inside the believer something changes. The heart finally rests because it knows it belongs to Allah. This does not mean you stop making dua. It does not mean you stop working for a better future. Islam never teaches passivity. You continue making every lawful effort. You continue asking Allah with hope. But after doing your part, you leave the outcome with Allah. You stop carrying a burden that was never yours to carry. This is the freedom that tawakkul brings. You no longer need to understand everything before finding peace. You no longer measure Allah's love by easy days or difficult days. You no longer believe that every delay is a punishment. Instead, your heart learns a beautiful certainty. Whatever Allah chooses is better than what you would have chosen for yourself. And once that certainty settles inside the heart, fear begins to lose its power. Because you know your life is always in the care of Allah. One day, this life will be over. Every test will end. Every unanswered question will come to its conclusion. Every hidden truth will be uncovered. On that day, no believer will stand before Allah and discover that Allah made a mistake. Instead, every believer will see what was always true. Allah's plan was always wiser. Allah's timing was always perfect. Allah's knowledge was always complete. What looked like delay was preparation. What looked like loss was protection. What looked like silence was never abandonment. Allah was always caring for you, even when you could not recognize it. Perhaps you will remember a prayer that seemed unanswered. Then Allah will show you what that unanswered prayer protected you from. Perhaps you will remember a door that never opened. Then Allah will show you the pain hidden behind that door. Perhaps you will remember a season filled with tears. Then Allah will show you the faith that grew because of those tears. On that day, you will not wish Allah had changed the story. You will wish you had trusted Allah sooner. This world was never meant to answer every question. It was meant to reveal where your trust belongs. If trust only existed after seeing every answer, it would no longer be trust. Real faith says, I do not know everything, but I know Allah. That certainty changes everything. It gives strength during hardship. It gives patience during waiting. It gives hope during uncertainty. It gives peace when life refuses to make sense. So if your heart is carrying a burden today, do not carry it alone. Place it before Allah. Keep making dua. Keep obeying Allah. Keep walking toward Allah even when the road feels difficult. Your understanding will sometimes fail. Your emotions will sometimes mislead you. People will sometimes disappoint you. Life will sometimes confuse you. But Allah's wisdom never fails. Allah's mercy never fails. Allah's promise never fails. So never judge Allah's decree by one painful chapter. Do not decide the ending while Allah is still writing the story. The believer does not live by what the eyes can see. The believer lives by what the heart knows. And the heart of a believer knows one unshakable truth. Allah's wisdom is always perfect, and every decree of Allah is filled with perfect knowledge, justice, and mercy.